What in the world? That's one too. What? Alright guys, and welcome back to another video. We've got a little bit of things to get done today, and well, you know, if you recall in one of our last videos, we were moving some fish around in the fish room for future breeding projects. Well, I sat and watched those angels for a few days and began to see two of them pair off, and you won't believe which two paired off. So not only did these two angelfish pair off, but I went ahead and pulled those out of the 60-gallon and moved them into that 20-gallon tank with a spawning cone. And a few days later, lo and behold, we had some angelfish eggs. We still got to get this tank set up as a filterless planted tank. Man, I tell you what, we got a lot of things to get done. Well, it turns out those angelfish weren't the only thing that planned on spawning for us that evening. Our German blue rams that we have set up in this 10-gallon decided they were also going to spawn for us. So, when these two spawned for us, I had to come up with something quick, with the angels laying egg and the German blue rams laying eggs at the same time. I had to build devices to hatch these eggs out in, hence where these little containers come in. So these are just a Tupperware container that you pick up from the Dollar Tree. They've got a screw-on lid, which I actually drilled a hole through, and I fitted these with a piece of hardened airline tubing, and that's just to keep an air stone in place in the bottom of the Tupperware cup so that it keeps our eggs tumbling and they don't get too fungused up. Now, this batch, unfortunately, I didn't have my air stone turned all the way up. It was late at night when I collected these guys, and a lot of them fungus, and I lost them. However, the good news is I do have a pair that is pretty good about spawning on a regular basis now. This is the second spawn that I pulled from them, and I'll do better each time with hatching their fry until I start getting the numbers that I'm seeking. Another kind of rigged up thing I did was patchwork some glass panels in. This is going to help maintain the temperature in the tank and keep these fry at the correct temperature as well. I found that when you leave lids off the tanks, you let a lot of the heat get out of the tank, and then it doesn't provide very stable temperatures for your hatchlings or your fry. Now, I will say that these have worked out great, especially for the angelfish eggs. I have been going in and taking a pipette and sucking out any fungused eggs on a daily basis, and that seems to be giving me a pretty good hatch rate. If I were to change one thing though about this little setup so that I can screw the lid all the way down, I would drill a secondary hole as kind of a breather for this system. Now, these are the two angelfish that we ended up having pair off. The one with the gold on its head is going to be the male, and the one that is more white is the female. And what a beautiful pair they are. Now, I also had some plant cuttings that I took out of my planted tank upstairs to put in this tank with them. I want to try to get some of this going in other tanks, as well as provide a little bit more comfort for the angelfish. Now, I did also promise you guys a filterless tank, and I've been dying to do something different with this tank, so we're going to go ahead and do that this evening. The only thing we're going to need is a bucket of aquarium dirt. Now, this is old soil substrate from an older project, and I believe in recycling, so we're going to use it in here. And I'm not even going to get rid of all this mulm and poop and decaying plant matter. I want all of that goodness to stay in there. That's going to feed our plants. Now, even though there are mollies in this tank, I'm still going to go ahead and take the filter out. This filter has accidentally gotten cut off before, and I would assume that this went a couple days without filtration, and when I come down here, everything was still alive and doing fine, and I'm guessing from all of this plant growth that is going on in this tank. So, with that being said, I feel this tank is already somewhat established with plants that are going to absorb a lot of the nitrates and the ammonia that these fish are going to produce, and the duckweed is kind of a cheat code that's going to pull a ton of that waste byproduct out of the water column, making this water suitable and stable for these fish. Now, sometime I will show you guys how I do this, but I take old 10-gallon tanks and I make my own glass lids with a little Scotch J-hook on there. Works great for these 10 gallons. As for this, I am literally just going to scoop this and dump it straight in, but for so long filtration. Now, there's a lot of good bacteria on this filter that I want to keep alive, so we are going to stick this filter and with our Kenyi Mbuna cichlids. That'll work. As for this, a lot of this stuff I want to kind of move, get out of the way. I don't want it buried. I'm honestly going to set it right up here. Pine cones and poop. Yep, keeping all that. And if you don't get duckweed on your arm when you're messing with your aquariums, you ain't doing it right. As for this, dirting it up. Now, because we're doing this as a filterless tank and going to plant it, we want to get this substrate quite deep. You want plenty of depth for your roots to take hold. We're going to see if we can call that good. I would say that is deep enough. That should about do it for us. Now, over time, as the detritus and mulm layer build up on the top of this, I will add new layers of substrate to it. But this is something I've been wanting to experiment with for a while, and well, you don't know until you take that leap. So here we go, Riverfront fam. All right, guys, so now we're gonna let this tank clear up and let all this dust from the soil substrate settle for a few, and then I'm gonna pick you guys back up and we might see who wants to donate some plants for our cause. What do you guys think? Or should I plan this out? Pick a few at a time and put them in here and see which plants work the best in this tank. Drop a comment down below and let me know while we're waiting on that to clear up. If you guys want a more in-depth video on how I set this up when I'm collecting eggs, or if you want me to maybe catch these guys in the act of spawning and pull their eggs and set them up to hatch and take you guys along with me, maybe that's something we could do. As for getting you a spawning pair of angels, well, the best thing I could recommend to you is have a larger tank, say a 55 gallon, get about 6 of them. Now get them when they're about quarter sized and raise them up and let them pair off naturally. Then you can pull your breeding pair and either move them into a tank of their own or provide enough cover area in your main tank for them to kind of get away and have a break in the line of sight to spawn and lay their egg. From there you can either pull them and hatch them manually as I am doing, or you can let them raise up their own. Now I was going to go the route of letting them raise up their own, but since I have to kind of treat this in a way that I do need to turn a little bit of a profit from these guys, so I need all of the eggs to survive possible. Now I will say, breeding fish, no, I'm not getting rich from it by any means. Some of that money that comes back from breeding these fish goes back into a lot of the projects that you see us perform here in the fish room. Now that's part of me growing as a hobbyist as well. I've got a passion to breed all kinds of fish, and in order to achieve breeding those fish, I'm gonna have to produce some numbers and do some trading along the lines with stores. But over time, you'll find in this hobby that you, especially when you have more than 2 or 3 tanks, that you get copious amounts of things and you run out of space. And rather than chop and throw away plant cuttings, I would rather plant up another tank or take some of those cuttings to a local store, make a little bit of money off of them to go towards buying some of the food that feeds these fish and go towards the future of my hobby. This is actually starting to clear up pretty decently. Unfortunately, it's not going to be totally clear tonight. So we will be planting this tank in another video. That's going to give me a little bit of time to think of what plants I want to put in here and what future stock I might want to stick in here. I'm thinking about moving some of my bettas in here for the time being. I've got some females that need a spot to go, and this seems like a suitable situation for them. Plus, with them being labyrinthine fish, they can go straight up to the water surface for their oxygen, which is going to be totally fine, and a tank that is adjusting to having rooted plants in it. But anyhow, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and the kind of little updates that I'm giving you guys of some of the projects we've been working on here. I'm still trying to get the rhythm of things and get back into this, so I'm making my way back into it slowly but surely, and I can't wait to put out more content for you guys in the future. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. It lets us know we're doing a good job. It appeases the algorithm and gets these kinds of videos out to more viewers that might enjoy it like you. And if you aren't already subscribed, make sure you guys get your butts subscribed to this channel. Y'all ain't gonna want to miss anything coming out in the future for you guys. I think we got a lot of stuff coming up in the works and more breeding projects ahead, so you won't want to miss any of that. But anyhow, guys, thanks for hanging around with us today. Until we see you next time, peace.